Hello, this is ChaYah Shalom, and we have the reconnaissance team joining us tonight. It's getting kind of dark. I don't know where you guys are. I'm in the West Coast, so it's Pacific Standard Time. And it's just, what, 5 something? And it's totally pitch black out there. Where's the moon, you guys? That's what I want to know. But anyways, so we have Bobby Calandra and some other people from reconnaissance, and possibly even some other group people from some other groups. Anyways, we've been having a nice lively chat, and of course we always want to consider other people, like we want to be treated. So I thought maybe I'd do a little proposition, because I've been wanting to play Bible trivia game, haha. So anybody who's going to be mean to anybody or cuss or anything like that, please don't cuss, because then I have to change the what is it called? The settings on my YouTube channel, and I don't want that, I don't want to have to do any editing. But I thought, hey, if you guys wanted to do a fun little game or something, do a little Bible trivia question, if you happen to trespass against your brethren here. We have to set the rules out. So what we want to try to do, I'm going to try to monitor this. If you want to speak or something, I think maybe they might have a hand up where you can just, highlight that you want a question, go like that. Or if I don't see it and you really wanted to interject something, maybe just put a finger up. I don't know. If I see your face with a camera, I can see that. But if you're not on here with the video, then you're going to have to put the hand up thing. Another thing you could do is just say question and just lightly interject. This way we're not running over somebody. So those are just kind of the main things. But anyways, I was talking to Bobby this morning about one of the videos that we just posted, the last one about all the tribes coming together. And we had our special speaker, Joe Laputi, on there. And he was teaching us about equity. Coming in, instead of doing all of the codes and the statutes, that's a heavy burden to bear, because that means if we're going to be going that route, especially if we're not going to be asking questions, we're going to be making statements, and we're going to have the onus on us that we have to provide all of those things. And I don't really want to go to war, do you? I mean, if we can try another way and do this equity, going through trust law, it seems to make sense to me, but I still haven't exactly been able to pierce any veil or get in there by talking to people like that, like saying, hey, this is a securities call, because I did try to do that. We've tried it twice now, me and my neighbor. We have a little script, and Bobby is wanting, he's just like chomping at the bit. He wants to do this securities call. So did you guys, I know LC was there, and some of you other ones might have listened to that video. LC, do you remember that video that we had with Joe? And I was wondering if I could pick your brain just for a little bit. Have you tried any of those techniques yet that he taught us? Have you written up any script or been able to think of any particular, place that you wanted to call and talk about? This is a securities call. LC, go ahead.
No, I haven't at the moment. I'm actually picking up on the book that he mentioned. That's where I'm at so far.
Your phone cut out. It was a little unstable. You said that
Did you hear me, ChaYah?
No. Can you repeat that? Say again.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I've reading up on the book that he mentioned. There was two books he mentioned, so I'm reading one of them at the moment, and that's
That's awesome.
Mhm.
She said that she remembers Joe mentioning two books and that she's gotten one of them already and she's reading it. That is so awesome. And I have to look at my notes to see what those books are. I think one of them had to do with equity jurisprudence, but let me see. I have to go through my notes too. You guys have like a whole bunch of notebooks with notes everywhere? Yes, I do. What was that book that you ended up getting?
Suits in Chancery. Suits in Chancery. I've got it on PDF. That's by Henry Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Other one,
Gibson, yeah.
and the other one I'm still trying to locate, which is Law of Suffocation by Henry Sheldon. Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna have to make some more notes here. So she ended up getting the PDF online of Suits in Chancery. And that was by Gibson? Who was that by?
Gibson, yeah.
Gibson.
Henry Gibson.
Oh, Henry, thank you. Henry Gibson, okay. Oh, okay. And then the other one, okay, so Suits in Chancery, that's one book. And then the other one was, what was it called again?
Law of Suffocation by Henry Sheldon.
Law of Subrogation, Henry Sheldon. So for some of the people that are in the group that are asking questions, these probably would be some great books if we can get a hold of them and read them. And then we might have our questions answered. It seems to me that when there's a chancellor or judge or lawyer or whatever, and they're writing these books, that they're probably giving us, or at least giving themselves, you know, the proper protocol of how to handle things. So instead of us, you know, doing telephone and saying, what did he say? And try to remember that and then flubbing it up for ourselves and others, this probably would be a good place to start. Let me see. Bobby, did you want to mention anything about what you picked out on that video where we were collaborating with the tribes? That's kind of what I was talking about. Because that's what we're doing right now. We're collaborating. We were talking about the difference between public and private.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, the whole script, the way I guess Joe described it, I would imagine there's a lot of flux in between these statements. I mean, if we get on the phone with someone, I know if we get on with anyone who has any sort of clout, they're gonna immediately begin to walk all over you if you don't really know how to present this.
And that's why
And
he was saying
my
to
concern,
come as a friend
I
and assure them that we're coming in peace.
no, I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with questions that I may not be able to answer. That's what I'm concerned with.
Mhm.
And I was hoping Joe was going to be here. And
Well, we're hoping that
because I have a feeling, I've been at this for a while.
Ted, did you happen to catch that video with Joe in it talking about
You were breaking up. You said and it cut out for a minute and then you came back.
me?
And you're breaking up. And no, I didn't watch that video with Joe.
Oh, okay. It's pretty good. I could actually bring it up and we can take a
I-
little snippet if you want to hear that. Let me see if I can do that.
I just downloaded the PDF version, The Law of Subrogation by Henry N. Sheldon. It's 384 page PDF download.
Oh boy. So I'm wondering, is it possible to put stuff in this chat and we can all maybe break up, read a little bit, or go to the table of contents and maybe check it out? Maybe we should maybe we could post it. Are you able to put it here in this chat? And I can open
Yeah,
Well, I can,
I will share.
it's an
I,
easy, it's
I
an
will.
easy Google.
I'll Google it. Cool. All right.
Yeah, it's an easy Google. Just type in The Law of Subrogation by Henry Sheldon and then just put .pdf after it. I downloaded it from a website called theprivatelife.com.
Okay.
And the PDF is actually a copied book. Let's see, it's Cornell Law School Library. You know, it says the original of this book is in the Cornell University Library, and there are no known copyright restrictions in the United States on the use of the text. And it's hosted also at archive.org. And it's The Law of Subrogation, Henry N. Sheldon. And the copyright date is 1882.
Whoa. Hey, there's the PDF.
So it would give a good basis. It would give a good basis for understanding. And you know, it's 1882, so they may not apply all of this in a common setting, because if there are any codes or statutes that have been put in place under a jurisdiction that we're operating in that would supersede this writing, then this writing wouldn't be able to be used over top of some of that. You know what I'm saying? But oftentimes the codes and statutes go along with this.
Oh.
Not a lot has been changed. It's just been buried in thousands of pages of subterfuge so that we can't understand it.
Yeah. A lot of blurring.
Would venture to think that this thing is pretty right on.
Hey, subrogation upon redemption.
Yeah.
From a prior encumbrance. That's like 14. Junior encumbrancer. I wonder what are you guys thinking encumbrancer? It says junior encumbrancer's right of redemption. Hey, that sounds good. Duty of prior to junior. Compelled to pay a prior charge. Subrogation upon redemption from a prior encumbrance. Subrogation will be made to serve the purpose of justice and the intent of the parties. Let me see. Maybe if I click on one of these. Let's start from this one. Let's see if something shows up. So this is kind of a little bit of an instructional video in a way to show people how to study, right? We get together, maybe you get your study buddies, then you Google whatever you want to study, and then you go to it and read it, and then we can all sort it out a little bit. Let's see what it says. Should I just kind of read a little bit? See if it has, oh. Talked about a widow, conveyance of equity and payment.
Here's one that might.
Which one you got? You want to share the screen?
What about number 36? That you know, that chapter heading or whatever that is, 36.
Okay. Let's see if I can get up there. All right, so this one right here that says vendor's debt subrogated to creditor's rights against his vendor. That one?
Again, doesn't that sound like what doesn't that sound like what the US has obligated themselves to do based on taking the birth certificates and the usufructuary obligations that they have to pay the debts of their creditors.
Yeah. So if that's page 36,
Doesn't now in my mind, well, that's looks like chapter 36. It looks like it begins on page 42, maybe.
Okay. Let's see if this loads. And I'm going to admit work home. Work home is a name of someone who's coming in. Welcome, work home. So I'm loading it right now to see if anything is popping up. So what we're doing, if you're just getting in, we went to Google, and LC took really good notes from that last video that we posted about the collaboration of the tribes. And we're all collaborating and we're all part of different tribes. So LC provided us with 2 names of the books that she's reading, one of them, Get Remedy, and we're looking one of them up, The Law of Subrogation, Henry Sheldon. So this is how we can all help ourselves, by reading. Reading is reading, right? But comprehending is another thing. And being able to get there is important too. And sometimes we have to have another person, you know, like a study group to help us out. Oh, look at, there's the back of the book. We don't want to go that far. And mute if you're not talking, please. So let's see, what do we have? Where are we? Oh, page 60, The Law of Subrogation. You want me to just read this little page right here and see if anything is getting answered? Let me just read that. Payment of the money due upon a mortgage debt by the owner of the equity of redemption, who is not the debtor, and his taking an assignment of the mortgage will operate as a payment or as a purchase of the mortgage, as will best serve the ends of justice and the proper intent of the parties. Where the purchaser of an equity of redemption made a second mortgage thereof, and while this was outstanding, took an assignment of the first mortgage, which he soon after assigned to a third person. This sounds like what the banks do, huh? It was held that the existence of the second...
Okay, I'm not following where you are with all these mortgage. Is this number 36 on page 42?
No, my screen populated and it got to the end of the book, or the back page of a book, and I'm reading page 60 just to see what it is.
Else.
I was waiting for the rest of it to populate, but I decided I'm just gonna read something. Let's see if we can get some content going here. So I'm gonna just start right here where it says it's on the screen in case, are you guys seeing this? Are you seeing this page that I'm reading? Is everybody seeing it?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, cool. Maybe Ted's driving, I don't know, but I'm reading page 60. It says the law of subrogation.
No, I can see it. It's just a tiny page on the phone, so it's pretty near impossible to read because it's your whole computer screen with just a little page in the center of it.
Okay, look it. I tried this. This might work out better. I figured out how to Command Plus and make it bigger. So I'm going to read it so people who can't read it because it's too small, it'll show up on the video. So it says, where the purchaser of an equity of redemption made a second mortgage thereof, and while this was outstanding, took an assignment of the first mortgage, which he soon after assigned to a third person. Like a hot potato. It was held that the existence of the second mortgage at the time of these assignments prevented the merger of the first mortgage, where the purchaser of an equity of redemption takes an assignment of the mortgage to which it is subject, this will or will not operate an extinguishment of the mortgage according to the interest of the party taking the assignment and the just intent of the parties. Let me just finish this part right here. It says, if the owner of mortgaged premises conveys different parts of them to separate grantees, and one of these pays and takes an assignment of the mortgage, he can, in the absence of circumstances which would make this inequitable, hold it against all the mortgaged premises. And this last part says, and if the purchaser of a bare equity of redemption, which is subject to the encumbrance of two mortgages, takes an assignment of the first mortgage for the protection of his title, this mortgage will not be thereby merged in the equity, so as to give the holder of the junior mortgage a preference in payment out of the proceeds of the mortgaged property. So it looks like there might be, it appears to me that this has a lot of different parts to it, and that's how they like to slice and dice it, and that's what makes it so difficult. Okay, this last part says, and generally, when a mortgage is assigned to one, not being the debtor, but having an interest in the mortgaged premises, the mortgage is not thereby, please mute, the mortgage is not thereby extinguished if it is for the interest of the assignee to uphold it. Okay. So I personally don't understand all of that, but we can listen to this video and me reading that and listen to it over and over, and possibly we might, understand it better. Did anybody want to see if they can parse that? On page 60, the law of subrogation. First of all, should we look up that word? What does the word subrogation mean? Does anybody have, I'm going to look on my phone and see. Then we can know what the word actually means. Subrogation. Okay. So it's the substitution of one person or group by another in respect of a debt or insurance claim, accompanied by the transfer. Please mute. I don't know what that is. Yeah, someone's watching TV. You need to mute that, please. Or I'm going to make you do Bible trivia. I need you to mute. All right, you're already going to have one Bible trivia question that you have to answer later. So back to the word subrogation, we need to know what that means. The substitution of one person or group by another in respect of a debt or insurance claim, accompanied by the transfer of an associated rights and duties. Subrogation, cool. That's kind of like what, a lot of people who read the Bible, they know about Christ being the substitute and taking on our sin debt for us. All right, so does anybody want to go on with the word?
And that,
Anybody else want to break that word down? Talking. Who's talking? Work home. Anybody else want to break that word? Oh, I'll say it, the definition one more time. The substitution of one person or group by another in respect of a debt or insurance claim, accompanied by the transfer of any associated rights and duties. So like when I signed up for the electric service through the electricity company, is it possible that they changed my name in a novation and put my name in all caps, and then when they sent the bill to me, the living woman, they're like, pay this for that all caps estate or account? So they're trying to get me to be the physical payer or obligor of that particular debt. So that's kind of what we're learning about, is that there's like duality. There's like, here's the living woman, and then there's the constructed account for the living woman. Like when you're playing that Monopoly game where they have the little pieces on the board. There's a dog, a thimble, a race car. I don't know what the other ones are. But when we play the game, we have that little car or dog that's on there. You guys have to mute if you,
I
unless.
got something in front of me worth reading.
Okay, let's hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
It says subrogation, the substitution of one person or group by another in respect of a debt or insurance claim, accompanied by the transfer of any associated rights and duties. And
That was exactly
what's
what
interesting is it says, how often is subrogation successful? It says when factoring comparative negligence and improper referrals, the recovery rate should be somewhere in a range of 85 to 90%. This requires adjusters properly identifying subrogation, assessing comparable negligence, and pursuing only what they are entitled to. So it sounds pretty interesting.
Do you guys know anything about like child support and how child support is considered fraud, even though, you know, we all want to have our children taken care of course, by the, you know, the parents or the, what would you call them?
Yeah.
Father and mother. It's got nothing to do really with not, you know, taking care of your offspring, but these
Right.
so-called,
It's got nothing to do with supporting children,
yeah, it's got to do with money and
just like
trafficking.
do with plenty.
You cut out. Repeat it, please.
I said, just like it's all word subterfuge.
Yes.
Just like Planned Parenthood has nothing to do with planning to be a parent.
Ooh,
Child support has really nothing to do with supporting a child.
right. It's disgusting. Well, so there's this title 4D that says,
And I think it does.
well, check this out.
Well, we believe that it does, but the way the system operates child support is more or less just to fleece the people. Both sides are getting taken advantage of. Now, the mother may be getting a check, but it has nothing to do, it has very little to do with what the father's responsibilities are. It's impossible for somebody who's
saying.
It's impossible for somebody who's receiving child support to understand unless they know how the monetary system works and where the money is literally coming from, because it's not literally coming from the father who was taken to court. The money is, without understanding more to do with this system based on estates and securities that are operating behind the scenes. The court is making money hand over fist, no matter what the outcome. But they need there to be a controversy in order to get people in there to be able to write the bonds behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Well, there has been an issue in this country, and the epidemic is absent father households. And there are a lot of men out here who make children and don't take care of them, or don't finish taking care of them. You know, leave their houses and their wives to go make children with other people and don't take care of them, and
Right.
leave the other parent. I won't say fathers. It's not just fathers. Mothers do it too, but they leave the other parent to fend for themselves. And
Right.
so, while I do agree that child support, in its nature, is unconstitutional, I think on some levels it's needed. But I also think that child support should be a civil issue. It shouldn't be one where you put the state in the middle of your affairs, like, unless it's like to come up with a plan to take care of the child, you know, in their best interest. Um, but yeah, I do think child support is unconstitutional. I don't think that people should go to jail because the state said you have to take care of your child. I don't know, it's a big mess with the
It
whole
is.
taking care of children and child support things. So yeah, I understand. But yeah, they shouldn't even be putting your name on documents and trying to call you in there and threatening you to go to jail. That's actually
Right.
peonage. That's peonage. So
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
it's
That's
a
what we're
mess. It's a
trying to talk
mess.
about. That's the issue. We're trying to stick to this, what we're learning right here. It is peonage. It is it's totally subversive. It's like identity fraud.
It's a trespass as well.
Yes, so many things. But
Yep, identity
if
fraud.
you look up Title 4D, it says that if the so-called county is able to recover some of the arrears or the debt from, like, let's say an absent father or something, from that one who's made the obligor, even though it's a grant for the, let's say it's the wife that's getting the so-called grant of the child support from the state. If they are successful in Title 4D, it says if that county is successful in getting that, let's just say, man to pay that woman or pay the arrears with all the interest and all that, that they can get up to 70%. And that's why I brought that up, because I heard Ted say something about, or maybe it was Bobby was talking about that 70%. Yeah, that's what it was. But it's wild because think of it, it's a grant, just like when we go to school. We can get a scholarship,
There you go.
grant from the state. But then there's people who get a loan and they have to pay back interest. So which would you rather have, a grant or a loan? You want the grant that you don't have to pay back. And so in the child support cases, these, let's just say it's the woman who's getting the money because she might have the kids or for the offspring. Let's say that she's getting, or maybe not getting very much, but she's getting something. That's a grant from the state. And so when that, let's say that it's an ex-wife. Let's just say it's an ex-wife. If, let's say, that ex-husband used his name and social security number, and she went and made a claim with the state, how is he actually obligated when they're not even married anymore? She got in a contract with the state. And we all know too about when there's a marriage license, that's how the state can claim the birth of that union. So that's why we're looking up all these little things and trying to tie them all in, because it is, I think that there is a pattern to this game, this Monopoly game. I think that there's directions out there. We just don't have the directions yet. But I think that when you think about all these things that we're learning here, just like with this mortgage thing that we're looking at right here, there might be something to that with us and the birth certificate or the social security number or child support or cars, all that stuff. Even with, think about like a timeshare even, because I have a timeshare. What a timeshare is when you buy into some club and you put, like, I don't know, 12, 14,000, maybe 30,000, 80,000, depends on how, of a nice one that you're going to get. and you get in a high interest loan, which means you have to pay that back, then they make you the owner. They tell you that you're the owner, but you really just got the use of it for usufruct. And then they get you to pay the taxes on the land and the maintenance fee. Does this sound familiar? Like when you get a car? Because when you go into the car dealership and you're thinking that you're buying or doing commerce and making a profit, which we're not even making a profit. That word commerce, it indicates that we're making a profit. We're not making a profit paying bills. So we're not really entering into commerce. That's why we're going into trust and learning about the trust, because we know about the money not being there. We can't, there's no way to pay debt.
We should be making a profit.
What was that? Did you want to
I
say
said
something?
we should be making a profit, paying the bills.
Yeah. Is there a way that you know of? Tell me.
The profit comes through subrogation.
Yeah, other than like not paying it. Other than
No.
not paying it, if you don't pay it, then what's the profit for? But
You'd have to be making some.
well, not that I would like to really share over a recorded call, but I will say, except for value. Anybody know the except for value money order thing?
It's not real
Banker's
clear.
acceptance.
It's not real clear, your microphone. Can you repeat that so it could be a little clearer? What was the beginning of your sentence, AP?
Except for value, money order methods, banker's acceptance.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I've used that method before, yes.
Has it worked for you?
I believe so, yes, but they would not come back and say it actually has worked, but it has in my case. So I haven't received any more letters since I produced promissory note.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's worked for me. And no, they won't tell you where the money came from. They was like, I paid a electric bill using the except for value money order method.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden the bill, I don't know, they just started paying themselves. And I called, like, what's going on with this bill? I know that I was past due. He was like, yeah, well, you got a LIHEAP grant. They were just randomly giving out grants. If you have already applied for LIHEAP before, they would give. I'm like, they don't do that.
That works.
But okay, whatever you gotta say.
Okay, so I scrolled up one
But
page
yeah, that's good.
right here on 59 on this book, Law of Subrogation, and it says successive claims. I know I'm so strange that I actually do end up reading books from the back to the front. And I'm doing it again. It's so funny. And I did take Japanese and I took Hebrew, and look at, hey, what can I say? Maybe I'm turning Japanese or Hebrew, but I am reading it backwards. I was on page 60, now page 59, but I just wanted to see what this says because I'm seeing first, second, third, fourth, and I'm like, what does this mean? So if you will just allow me to read this page, I just want to see what it says. Okay, so this is successive claims. Should probably go one more up, but let me just see what it says. First, when a purchaser pays off a mortgage to which the right of dower would be subject merely to clear the estate of the encumbrance, and not by virtue of any obligation to pay the mortgage debt, and takes an assignment or a conveyance of his interest from the mortgagee, he may stand on the mortgage title if he please, and then no dower can be assigned without payment of the whole mortgage debt by the demandant. Second, if in such case the mortgage be discharged, hey, let's perk up our ears on this one. Then he will be held to have redeemed, and the widow, oh, okay, will take her dower in the equity. This is making more sense now, because probably the page ahead of time is talking about maybe a trustee or some person like a fiduciary taking care of a person who died. That's what this is probably regarding, because it says the widow will take her dower in the equity or by contribution as she may elect under General States C90 subsection 2(3). Third, but if the mortgage debt be paid by the debtor or from his property or in his behalf, then the payment will be treated as a satisfaction and discharge of the mortgage, and the widow will be remitted to her full right of dower. Fourth, the payment will be held to be made in behalf of the debtor when there is an obligation imposed by the grantor upon the purchaser to assume and pay the debt as his own, or when the grantor furnishes the means for the payment, as where, by the terms of the conveyance, the entire estate is sold, and the seller leaves a sufficient part of the purchase money in the hands of the grantee for the purpose. In such cases, if the purchaser take an assignment of the mortgage to himself, he will not be allowed to set it up, but the legal title thus acquired will be held to merge in the equity. So that subsection 53, assignment of a mortgage to the owner of the equity of redemption, not necessarily in an extinguishment of its lien. So yeah, sorry that I'm reading it backwards, but it does help to know, read the front of the book, you know. Yeah, it does say up here on this other page about where a wife is joined with her husband in a mortgage of both his land and his personal property. She has after death, did I lose my spot there? Oh, where is it? Oh, here, it's right here. She has after death of her husband an equitable right to have the mortgaged personality first applied. Is this English, Old English or something? First applied to the payment of the mortgage debt, both against the mortgagee and also against the general creditors of her husband's estate. If she has given a mortgage of her own real estate merely to secure a debt of her husband's, she is entitled to have his interest in the estate as tenant by the courtesy first sold applied toward paying the debt in exoneration of her own interest in the mortgage premises, even against another creditor of her husband who holds a general lien upon his interest in the premises created subsequently to the execution of the mortgage. But if she has joined with her husband in a
Can I say
mortgage
something?
of his real estate, yeah, just a second, she is not entitled to have the debt satisfied exclusively out of her husband's interest in such real estate, so as to give her dower out of the whole estate, notwithstanding the mortgage. She can be endowed only in the equity of redemption. Go ahead, Bobby. Yeah,
You're losing me with all this stuff. I know that, you know, when we pay a utility or we buy a car or we do a mortgage, I believe that the banks and the people involved with the banks, they have what's called the custodial primary linked account to us.
yeah,
That enables them to approach the treasury. It's called a custodial primary linked account. And that's, you know, back in back in the discharge in HJ 192 and all that, that is in effect right now. That's all in effect, and they have found a way to double dip on that. by these custodial primary linked accounts.
Mm-hmm.
They are discharging for us. Hence, if you buy a car or you get a mortgage, or you're talking about child support, they are hitting the SESQV accounts through custodial primary linked accounts, whether it's the state or the whole country operates off the SESQV accounts. And so when we bring subrogation to them, what that last thing explained, what I believe it explained, is that when we find a reason that that we were used in that way, and we approach these creditors, they are the right way, they have absolutely no defense against us. If we take them to an Article 3 court, maybe filing through a circuit court, they have no defense. They absolutely have to cower and pay. So I believe it's more in the method of how this is used, and understanding. When I was listening to Joe, I was really kind of understanding this. When he talks about coming for, when we're the surety of the principal debtor, and we're coming and we're invoking the right to equity jurisprudence, and all the securities that belong to us, we're essentially stepping in and saying, with the whatever you did, the truck, the house, whatever was discharged, and everything that I've given you since then is mine, and it came out of this SQV account, and I want it back now. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I don't know. So has anyone used this this skit of Joe's on anything else, on anything at all? Utility bills, anything like that? Phone bills?
The script that he gave us in the last video.
Yeah. Yeah, the script.
Yes.
Like, can this be used on an electric bill, a water bill? Can you use this for utilities? Can this? I'm thinking this subrogation covers it all. Especially with, when you think of this custodial primary linked account, whenever you breach that topic with any of them, they get very afraid, they get scared, because that's the way they do this. That's how the car company can hit the treasury when you buy something, when in fact the car is supposed to be a perk, and they get paid, and you're supposed to walk away with it rather than a secondary loan.
Right.
They use the primary linked account, and they go in, and I think we all know that, I suppose. And this script is pretty much airtight. If you can take this to fruition and pretty much let them know that you're going to go to a circuit and then to Article 3 for breach of trust, it sounds to me like it's a way to just get in and get your toes wet and see what works and what doesn't work. Because we can read this book. I mean, I'm not a big reader, but I can read in what's going on here, and with what I've been doing, going over for the last 10 years. It seems to me that this is I love the idea that it's the private side, and it keeps it on the private side.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Anyway, I don't want to
This is
talk too much.
why in that last video that Joe was on, I think it's called Collaborating with the Tribes and Study Groups. It has a picture of the tabernacle and meeting in the wilderness where all the tribes, the Hebrew tribes, all there, and the priests doing the sacrifice, and there was a big fire flame coming in the tabernacle in the Holy Holies. That's the picture that's on the video. It's the last video that we have on the YouTube channel, ChaYah Shalom. By the way, Chai means life. Yah is the creator, and Shalom means peace, not the kind of peace that the world gives where they go, hey, just do this, do that, and it'll be simple and it'll be easy and you're going to love it. It's not that kind of peace. What that kind of peace we're talking about is the one that destroys the authority that's attached to our chaos. That comes from the ancient Hebrew pictograph. I studied a little bit of Japanese, and they take from the Chinese characters the actual letters of their alphabet, but the Hebrew also has those type of characters that have, they call them pictographs, and the shin, lamed, wa, and the mem, those are the 4 letters that make the word shalom. It actually means to destroy authority attached to chaos. And in the groups that we're all in, study groups, you got people saying, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way, but there's no direction. It's like everybody's opinion, and it's like playing a game of telephone. So that's why we're going to the source of this trust, law of subrogation. We're going to the source. It's very dry read and boring, and some of the words are so big we have to look up in the dictionary, so it's a hassle. Yes, it's totally boring, but sometimes when we have someone read it, and then we can kind of chew it up a little bit, like a cow has to chew the food over and over and over again. They got like, what, 5 stomachs? Sometimes having a group of people like this, we read something, we just read a little bit, talk about it, and see how it relates to the other things. That helps us to digest what we're learning. The really important thing that I'm getting to is ChaYah Shalom, means life in our creator, and to destroy the authority that's attached to our chaos. We do not want to be tripping, falling, getting on the sidelines and having other people feed us and do stuff for us. We have to grow up, learn how to read, learn how to digest and eat these words, not just eat our own words, but I mean just to digest what this means so that we can get these processes done properly so that we don't get harmed. We want to destroy the authority that's attached to the chaos. That's going to give us the true kind of peace. Not like people who are just going to promise us peace and safety. We really want to know, what do we have to do to pay a bill? Who are we? What is involved in paying a bill? That's why we're looking up these really boring books. It's not like we don't want to do fun things, because we all want to do fun stuff, but you know, there comes a time where we have to grow up and calm down all that stuff that we want to do that's fun all the time, and get down to the true business here and look at to see what is it that the rules say of this game that we're playing. How can we get success instead of us getting mad with one another because no one's questioning what they've heard from another person? We are doing the hard work in getting together and reading something that's totally boring, that we don't even understand, it's over our head, but we have to break it down. So by looking at something and reading it, some of us might hear certain words that go, oh, I've heard that word before. And we can relate to that. So I am reading it backwards, and it is a little hard when you do that, but I'm seeing stuff right here that kind of looks interesting. So let me just read this piece, if you don't mind, just to see what this says right here, page 56. Excuse me. Been assigned or quitclaim to the purchaser. So we're doing it in little bits, okay? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bit at a time. And that's what we're doing right now. We're eating an elephant 1 bit at a time. And a redemption from the mortgage through process of law by such a purchaser will give him the same right. If a new mortgage has been given by such a purchaser expressly as a substitute for the old mortgage, the widow's rights will be no greater against the holder of the new mortgage or against one who has redeemed from it than they were against those claiming under the old mortgage. But where a husband, by falsely representing, without his wife's knowledge, that he was unmarried, obtained a loan on the mortgage in which she did not join, and therewith paid off prior liens upon the premises, the mortgagee's estate was not allowed to override her inchoate rights of dower. For the wife is not in privity with her husband in regard to transactions to which she is not a party. The mortgager's assignee is insolvency, is to be regarded as a purchaser who is not bound to pay the mortgage debt, and an assignment of the mortgage to him will not extinguish it for the benefit of the mortgager's widow. The same rules apply to a purchase of the equity of redemption by the mortgagee as to an assignment or quitclaim of the mortgage to a purchaser of the equity as to its effect upon the rights of the mortgager's widow. And then this last part right here, it says the mortgage will not be regarded as extinguished so as to let in the widow's claim of dower, which was released in the mortgage, unless the debt has been paid by her husband, the mortgager, or from his means, or by someone who stands in such relation to him as to be in legal effect the debtor, whose duty it is to pay and discharge the mortgage debt. So these things are, they can be very dry reads and boring, and we might not understand them. But if we do actually read them in little bits and pieces, we can listen to it over and over again. So did Bobby drop off? Did I lose you, Bobby? Did you get off? Get off the call? Okay, get back on. Yeah, sometimes I do that too. If I can't handle a certain thing, I myself, if someone's chewing on ice or what have you, smacking food and I can't handle it, I'll get off because I'll get off the call because I just can't deal. But did everybody get off? Am I the only one on here? I just need to know. Let me see. Did I make everyone go to sleep? Did everyone go to sleep on me? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share, but this is where we can go to read these books. And sometimes you have to press through. It might be really a boring and dry read, but it is important.
Yeah.
Is there someone here?
Yeah. Can you share the link?
Oh, you
Elsie, can you share the link in the chat where you get this from, please?
You talking to me, Elsie? Come in.
Yes, I am. Can you share
Yes.
in
Do you mean to put it in the groups? You're in reconnaissance.
in the chat. If you can share it.
Oh, in the chat. Okay.
Yes.
I got a couple screens on here. Let me see. Let me find where we are. Yeah, I got like a whole bunch of screens open, so it's hard for me to see where everybody is. Let me look and see where the chat thing is. Oh, here it is. Okay, there. Boop. Here it is.
You can share the link if it's easier for you.
I put that there in the, what's it called? The meeting chat. Let me see. I'll stop share. Okay. So I stopped the share of the actual book. And maybe in this video, when I post it on YouTube, I'll also put this link so people can read it on their own. Because, you know, I think we lose a lot of people when it's boring and it's not fun. Or it might be too late for them, you know, I don't know. You're in England, aren't you? Or London, Elsie? You're in another country. What time of day is it over there where you're at?
Yeah, I'm in England. It's 2:21 in the morning.
Wow. What dedication. Amazing. You're amazing. Wow.
Yeah, you've got. If you want to learn, you have to go through sleepless nights, ChaYah.
It's true. It's true. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting unless you want to bring something up. And then I will post this on YouTube for other people. And
That'd be brilliant. I'm gonna go now, ChaYah. Thank you so much for a lovely evening. Take care.
so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to see you again and hear from you again. And we're going to say goodnight to everybody. And I'll go ahead and post this so everybody can see how they can get with a study buddy and read something and try to work it out so that we can get closer to our redemption. That's what we're looking for. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.